Hello and welcome to this episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Mignot, and this is part of my 29 Days of Magic series where I interview a dope black woman every single day. And today I am super excited to have Sherilyn Smith, who is our senior executive producer over at VMLY&R Commerce and has an amazing story. I can't wait for you to hear it. Hi, Sherilyn.
Hello, Laura. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so glad to have you because you have the most amazing story, and I want you to share it. So, podcast is always the same. First question, always same answers, always amazing. So, Sherilyn, what was your first job?
My first job was at Sears. I was a photographer. I actually photographed babies and families, and I loved it. I think it sparked the interest of what I was already designed to do, was to be a photographer. But at that time, I really wanted to photograph the world. I wanted to photograph food for magazines. But I fell in love with the connection of a photographer's eye and the human behind the lens and in front of the lens. So I kind of shifted, but I loved it. I
love that. Okay, so that was at Sears, and now you can't really work for me.
Yes.
But you had an amazing career before you got to here, so I'd love for you to share it.
Yeah, so my mother and father were parents that very much focused on us understanding our culture and as black people. My mother was a housewife, very domesticated. My father was an engineer and worked at Texas Instruments. And one thing they poured into us was reading black newspapers. So we read Jet, we read Ebony, and we read Essence. And so a desire to work there developed. My mom was like, since you're not working at Sears and what you love, look at the black local newspapers. And at the time, Dallas Weekly was the largest black paper in the Dallas Weekly. In Dallas, Texas. Went there and applied, and I started covering small sections of different parts of the paper. Well, it was Metro, Life, and my desire was to be on the cover. And I started doing that, and I fell in love with it. But then what I learned was the compensation was not the same as my thought process was. I ended up being published in National Enquirer and other publications. But what set me apart was I was always hungry. And I could go to the publisher and say, hey, can I do this? And he was the kind of leader that allowed you to fly. And I think that's what I loved about James Washington as the publisher. If you came to him and said, I want to fly, he would say, okay, I'm going to give you the wings, but I need you to continue flying. And I never did forget that. I was very young. And I saw that in the paper they were sketching NBA players. And I asked him, could I go? I was maybe 19 at the time. If I could go and cover the NBA. And he was like, oh, you too young. And there are not black females doing that. And I said, well, give me the reasons why I cannot, because that is not to me why I cannot. And he went through a few things that many may understand. I had a meeting with the Dallas Mavericks. At that time, Don Carter owned the Dallas Mavericks. And Kevin Sullivan ran the PR. And I met with Kevin Sullivan. It was an understanding of how they wanted me to operate. But then I think I covered the Mavericks for about 12, 13 years for Dallas Weekly. And it opened so many doors for me. I worked with Roy Tarpley. He's now deceased, but him and his wife had an event, and we had Rosa Parks at their home. I was exposed to so much at a young age, and I loved it. And it opened just not the door of photography, but it opened my mind to marketing and creativity. And at that time, even though we had advertisers like American Airlines and Pepsi and others, what happened was the mindset of sponsorship developed. So I worked at a school, Carter High School in Dallas, during the school year. In the summer, I was Mr. Washington's assistant. So I was still photographing. And in the summers, I would meet with him. And I remember we had a meeting with Blockbuster. And Larcene Bland was over marketing at the time. And they were trying to figure out, and my job was to take notes. They were trying to figure out how Hollywood Video had come into Dallas, and it was taking over how to do videos with people of color. And I remember chiming in, asking, may I speak and tell you why? And in that moment, I had secured a partnership of sponsorship. Now, sponsorship was growing at that time in the 90s, but it was just developing. And I broke off into that and did that for a while. And so I kind of went from photography to sponsorship to marketing and to experiential events.
So I love how you gloss over the fact that you were an official photographer for the Dallas Mavericks as a black woman at 19 years old.
Yes,
Like,
yes, I love I loved it. You know, what I also enjoyed was covering the Mavericks for the Dallas Weekly, and then going to All-Star weekends. And then, you know, me and the athletes would say, you know, I want to get into the black community and work at a black newspaper. I was at Bridge, I was at Door. And so I opened up a lot of opportunities for them to go further than what they were. And then at some point, when I stopped covering, doing photography at the paper, I moved over to marketing and experiential. So, but even though I stopped doing the photography, I ended up working for a lot of the players. And I worked for Chris Bosh, Robert Pack, Jim Jackson. I worked for a lot of different players, you know, and I think that's what I've loved. As much as I've enjoyed working with them for who they are on the court, I valued who they were off the court.
That's again, you literally gloss over this stuff. Like it's like Sherilyn,
yeah,
girl. It's kind of amazing that you've been able to do all this stuff, and you're not that old. So obviously you've had lots of challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about the time you had a challenge. You're like, there's no way I'm getting through this, and then you did.
I'm gonna tell you a story. When I opened my own company, I used to work with Roland Martin. And Roland Martin at the time was working at the Dallas Weekly. And he had left. And I remember calling Roland and saying, hey, Starburst is launching a new flavor of strawberry cream. I'm working this opportunity. I need to figure out a couple of business foundation. And he gave me a couple of elements. And I birthed the company. And that was back in late 1990s. And I think one of the things that one thing I've learned the most is to answer your question. I've encountered every thought process you can have in being an entrepreneur. And I remember I was doing an event. It was a very profile event. The client was very profile. And I was doing very well in the company. And we were doing a walkthrough with my staff. The staff was about 50 people. It was all minorities. And the guy was walking us around, and he told his team, oh, go over there and get some things. And he put me and my whole team in a circle. And he said, Sherilyn, I'm going to run your new company out of our company. And my whole staff, I lost so much life and energy in that moment. And my staff lost so much energy. And then I realized being a successful black woman can have an image and a look, but to the world. But a lot of times you have to know how to deal with that situation, and also how not to lose your staff, and how to redeem yourself when there's no one around you redeeming you. And when you're leading people and you're being asked to lead not just your people and your team, but you're leading this opportunity for your client, it's a very fine line. But I think that was a moment that redefined a lot for me, but I think at the same time, how to stand for not just being a black woman, but being respected in this space as a black woman as well.
Did you tell that dude where he could go afterwards?
Oh yes, yes. Oh yes. And I think I think he wanted me to fail, and it's not that I think that I know that, and he told me to fail, and I think for me, many people think I am more laid back. I am a laid back person, but I'm also a person who I choose to find wisdom, but I also choose to find out who's wise. And then it allows me to see how I should grow. But I think from all of it, I can give you a ton of things I've been through, whether it's good, bad, or in between, that has allowed me to see that I'm where I should be in those moments. And it's the reason why I'm in that moment, whether it's for me to continue growing or how to fine tune a certain space in my life.
And it's just true, because also, like, I think oftentimes folks see us and be like, I don't know how y'all got here, but like, this shouldn't be the case. So let me try to find ways to screw this up for you.
Correct.
And how do you find your way to like overcome that and be like, get out of my way?
You know, I think, I always tell people who see me and my siblings, they'll say, oh, these are Alonzo's children. We are tall, we're thin, complexion, we stutter. But I think many people don't see my mother. My mother was a housewife. So the nurturing, the care, the values, I think many people have missed. and they don't see that what she gave. And I think I'm a mixture of both of them. But I think also I had an aunt that lived with us, and my aunt Leah was very much of a person that had Jesus first and society second. So I grew up in a household where it was plan A, plan B, plan C. You know, I was always raised to think in how to process things. And I think being where I am today, and when I look back on my life, I have seen a lot. I have been through a lot. And I often tell myself, if I had to go back and do life over again, would I? And live the same life. And I would ask for 2 weeks of vacation, and then I would do it again. That's the only way. That's the only way. And I think that when I look back what I've done, when I look back and how I worked for Sherilyn Somerset and we gave an award to Spike Lee, when I look at how I was teased my whole life about talking fast and stuttering, and when I met Emmett Till's mother, she held my face because she wanted to feel the vibration of my mouth stuttering. So I've seen a lot. I've done things with Gregory Hines as far as with HBO and Showtime. I've done a lot, but it's the moments that I value, that I hold dear. And I may not always share it with everyone, but I do share my insight and wisdom to those who truly want to hear it and receive it.
And it's so powerful because folks need to, I think you've had such a, unique experience. Obviously, you and I both have trouble with stuttering, and I know how it feels because like folks would be like, well, if you stutter, there must be something wrong with you.
Yes.
Versus like, no, it just takes a little bit of time.
That's right.
And also my mind's going really fast.
That's right.
So like, just chill.
Yes. I got it.
Yes. Like you'll be fine. Like I got you. And I think for you, so like when you're thinking about like where you are today, what are some of those lessons that you think you'd tell 18-year-old Sherilyn?
It's funny you say that. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was sharing with her that there's a moment, when experiential started in sponsorship and marketing, there was not a definition of what the highest level was. You knew about a CMO at an organization, but you didn't know about being at VMLY&R Commerce and being able to be exposed to what I'm exposed to and work with clients in a team that I am. I think that when I look at my career and I look at how each opportunity, each client provided me a different end result and also a different process, I can take all of that and apply it to where I'm at today. And I think being in the moment of working here and working with you allows me to see all of that I went through. I had to go through it because it allows me to be in a space now where it's not that it's effortless, but I've earned it. I earned to be here with you on your team and meeting with the clients that I meet with, working with the team that I work with, and being exposed to opportunities. Because not that I can pull off an event, I know how to produce an event, and I have the background to show if in any circumstance how to do it and how it can be done. But at the same time, I'm open to hearing other opportunities from other teammates of a different way. But I think I've proven and given the time.
You give the time. And I think it's important because I think, you've had such a varied career, and I think folks often don't realize that, like, the variety is what makes people the most valuable.
That's
like,
right.
When we talked almost last year, and I was like, oh, okay, what is it you do?
Yeah,
and I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
like, yeah, you should come join us.
And I was excited. I was like, oh, yay! I was excited. I was ready.
And you didn't know I was black.
I did not. But I was happy when I saw your face. I was like, all right. I'm excited.
Well, being a black boss is different, and I fully appreciate what it means to be the person that I am. And I think it's important for folks to see that, like, there is no one way to do something.
That's right.
And it is really important to have those varied experiences so that when you walk into somewhere new, it isn't like, oh my God, what do I do? But, oh, let me embrace all of that.
That's right.
It's really, I think that's a big key and why you've been successful throughout your career, because like you just kind of walk in and I'm like, yeah, I got this.
Exactly.
It's just what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's interesting. So, like, obviously, you've seen a lot. What's probably one of the most memorable experiences from an event perspective you've ever done?
Oh, that's a great question. I think if I look at my most memorable, I would say working with Chris Bosch was amazing. Chris he's a great guy off the court, and he was a great guy on the court. And I loved how he would want to give back in silence. I love that. I also enjoyed working on Super Bowl. Like, there are certain things I was afforded to because I was in the right space, but there are a lot of opportunities I won because I had to put in the work. So when I won the contract for PR for the Super Bowl, that was unforgivable for me because it was in Texas, an ice storm, and I did not find out I was pregnant right in the middle of the event. And that was such an amazing time for me. But then I also worked on Selma 50. I was able to sit in, and President Obama was there, and so many others, and I sat in meetings with the FBI and the CIA. So I've done a lot. And then even when I became a certified 8A agency with the federal government and did events with them, someone approached me about selling tactical gear to the military. So I opened Enigma Tactical, and I sold tactical gear to the military. Yeah. I love it all. People think, Sherilyn, I've done, I think like I said, I was raised very domestic. I was raised that, Sherilyn, you're going to be a housewife and X, Y, and Z. But once I had a taste of being in the position of making a change and making an impact while making money, I fell in love with it.
Tactical gear?
I sold tactical gear. I went and had the certification with alcohol, firearms. I did all. I loved it. I loved it. And I did it for a few years. And then actually a girlfriend of mine told me, you should go back to doing that. And I was like, maybe we'll think about it. But I love for my son to do it. Save the company for him to do it. That's what I would love.
Wow. Okay. So are those like bulletproof vests and stuff?
Yes. 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 And the beauty of it that I loved was that it was easy. You did an RFQ, you ordered, and it was a drop ship. So it was not like a whole lot of hand touching, but the level of security was different, was a big difference. But when you're dealing with the 8A, with the federal government, you have to be mindful of a lot of elements and details. And so, but yeah, I truly loved working with the federal government. I like the fact that I have experience doing events internationally. I've done work with corporations, nonprofit, and the federal government. And I also took being a minority-owned business seriously. I was certified, and I did a lot of work with the local chapter. And I value being able to be involved and show other entrepreneurs, it's going to take work, but you have to put in it. You have to put in what you want to get out.
You've got to put the work in. It's not going to be handed to you. And you also have to realize that, like, it's not going to be easy and not tomorrow it's going to be solved.
That's right.
It's going to take some time.
That's right.
And if y'all aren't cool with that, it's going to be a problem for you.
That's right. That's right. It's like planting a seed. You don't put a seed in the ground. You have to know the soil, and you have to be honest with yourself when you want to be an entrepreneur or in working in any space. I think you have to understand what you have to put into it. And if you think he's going to put a seed in the soil and it's going to grow, it's not guaranteed, because number one, you got to look at it. Is it a good seed? And also, is it good soil? But as you grow, it can develop. And then you still have to prune that seed as it grows. It's not going to happen overnight just because you want it. You have to put the time into it. And a lot of times putting the time into the work is great, but also you have to put time in taking care of yourself so that you can, your body can rebound to what you're doing as well.
Well, it's a good point that you're making about making sure that your body's okay. So Sherilyn, you do 11,000 things.
Yes.
What in the world do you do for your self-care?
One thing that I value, as much as I know how to go, I'm very good at knowing how to stop. I'm very good to know this is time that I want to give to work. This is time I want to give my son. But I also know when it's time to give time to Sherilyn. I enjoy simple things. As much as I can be amongst people, I also am renewed when I'm alone. Whether I want to sit and watch my TV shows, whether it's a nice dinner with girlfriends, or if I just decide to get up and go away for the weekend and just spend a weekend at a spa. I think I'm very mindful that the work I do is, as you know, Laura, experiential is not just balloons and name tags and a stage. It's the fine details. It's the unforeseen. It's the mindset. So there's every facet of your body you're using. You're using your mind, you're using your body. You're evaluating, you're solving. You're looking at it from all perspectives, not just from your eyes, but from the client and from the consumer. And so I pause all of that when I need to. And I understand the value. The best person, not that I can just give to the client, is the best version of Sherilyn, but I have to give the best version of Sherilyn to Sherilyn.
It's really important. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so what are your shows? Because I'm very curious to see what you want.
Okay, so I love watching shows that are competitive. So I like Next Level Kitchen. I love Gordon Ramsay. I love to watch his shows and decide if I'm going to eliminate who he will eliminate based off the little information that I receive. And I love that. But I like Basketball Wives. I like that. I love Survivor. I'm big on Survivor. Really? Oh yeah, I love it.
Oh, I don't know how that's so long.
Oh, I love it. I think I like, because to me is you start to see a team, and then you can also identify a person that truly has a good interest, and those who are going to do what they got to do to get to the end to win. And I think it to me it's hilarious. And then I also enjoy watching. I'm into Netflix and now watching their shows, and I think that I like shows like Red to Love. I like Red to Love. I like it. And I like anything that can pause my mind. That's one of my self-cares. If I can watch a show, it can pause my mind, not make me think, because it will have to grab my attention. If not, I go, oh, I got to send this email.
Right. You want to be like, this will be like the thing that will help you veg out, and I will not start doing more work for this. Like, yeah. Oh, no.
Exactly.
So no, I get you. It makes good, smart sense. Because yeah, I love reality TV because I can just like veg on the couch for hours on end. Mm-hmm. I like to watch and also Disney series. Like I love any Marvel stuff.
Oh yes.
I'm a 5-year-old. I love Marvel series.
Yeah.
I just finished watching Agent Carter the other day.
Awesome.
But it's interesting because I think we have very busy jobs that allow us to be in a lot of different places, and it's highly unpredictable, and it's like not for everybody.
That's true.
Like,
That's true.
Yeah, like it is an industry that requires you to be like, yes, I can jump in and done this. Because I think that was how I was like one of your first ones.
Yes.
You're like, what? I'm like, yeah.
Yes. I was like, okay. Okay, and I think the beauty of that was, even though I jumped in, I did take time to say, let me kind of read the room, let me figure out the event and the opportunity. And I think what made that opportunity so great was the team you have. I think that is, because even though in experiential, it is a team, but you do spend a lot of time with your team. You eat dinner with them, you work with them, you learn their mindset, you learn their behaviors at work. And that to me is what was the beautiful part of diving in, because I dived into an event, but I also dived into working with the entire team.
We are one crazy, wacky, weird family. That is without question. So last question for you. Do you have a give and or an ask of the audience?
My give and ask, that's a great question. What I would give would be to dive into understanding what really speaks to your heart. Oftentimes when we are in personal relationships, they ask us to find our 5 love languages. And I think that's beautiful in a personal life, but what are your 5 love languages at work? What are the 5 things in those same areas on a professional standpoint that you need in your workspace? And I think I understand what I need in my 5 love professional languages. And I get it, and I accept it, and I own it. And that's my space. My ask would be for the audience to truly dive into following our social page. I think social media has shifted. I think it has taken the place of a business card and of a company's website. And if they could go to your page, Laura, Instagram, or VMLY&R's commerce Instagram page, and follow and share, and let them know who we are. Extend the brand, extend the mindset, and let more people know that we're here. I think that is the one thing that I will love and value.
Awesome. I love giving that. Wonderful.
Yeah. I love watching it, at the event that we just did, how each generation operated different. I could see those that in one group, they're exchanging phone numbers. Well, give me your number, give me your number. But when I saw the young people, I saw how they were just doing it via Instagram. Or hey, find me on LinkedIn. It was a whole different conversation. And I was like, wow, it's a different time. But I embrace it and I love it. And that's what I would like that to be the ask.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I would love for folks to follow us on all our social medias for VMLY&R Commerce, as well as mine and as well as Sherilyn's, because we're all one team. Sherilyn, I adore you. And I
adore you.
I am so grateful that you were able to come and jump out from our event and be on 29 Days of Magic, because I wanted folks to hear your story, because you just have the most beautiful story. You are so multifaceted. You've done so many amazing, awesome things, and you were remarkably humble about all of them. And I think it's a testament to how awesome Black women are in so many different places and spaces. And that's just really important that we share those through storytelling. So thank you so much for being part of 29 Days of Magic.
Yes, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Awesome. And that is our show.